Okay, so let's start talking about developmental theory here a little bit. So the first thing that we can go over are some of these differences that children will go through, right? One of them being, and we'll talk about it again, object permanence, being able to identify objects and understanding that, say, if they are blocked or go behind something or change shape, understanding how that takes place, right? Or that they don't disappear, or that they're not different. You'll see the emergence of being able to identify symbols, letters, numbers, various items that they're able to use in, pretending in imaginative play scenarios. Egocentrism, start to understand their wants, their needs, and how to get them, right? Which is, really remarkable of how they're able to work parents, grandparents, systems to be able to get their needs. Understanding other people, starting to build sympathy, empathy, emotional intelligence, and then comprehension of logic, being able to put together, why. Why do I need to go to bed at this time? Why do we need to eat our vegetables? That kind of stuff. So as mentioned before, when we're looking at the sensory motor period, okay, one of the groundbreaking things that will come about from this time is the development of object permanence. And this is always fun when you're playing with young kids, right? This is your peekaboo. This is when you are playing a game and you hide a ball somewhere, the ball disappears, they don't know where it is. When you cover your face, you disappear, they don't know where you are. So this ends roughly around 2 years old, but this is a major step. So with those younger children, you can kind of, test where their development stands by trying to hide things or play peekaboo and see if they're able to identify that those objects have not disappeared or where they may be. So when we're doing this, for instance, you see these age gradients. Okay? It's not always exactly perfect, okay? But it's pretty close as to when you get to and go through those various stages. So when we're talking about object permanence, you probably will not see a 1-year-old who is just beginning to learn to walk be at a place where they're able to exhibit object permanence. So you'll also find from the work of René Bergeron that you can use object permanence to be able to also identify, what children know and the depth of that knowledge, right? So when asking or playing with a doll, for instance, in the image, and you're moving the doll behind blocks, right? You want to be able to follow the child's eyes to see if they can anticipate where that doll should be, and also their reaction if that doesn't happen, okay? So we look at the high window. Where would their eyes go? Would they go into the window, or should they go to the end of the barrier to be able to find that child? Low window, do they go to the end, or should they be able to recognize that they can find the child, the doll, in the middle? Okay. Emergence of these types of symbols. This is when you're going to get the beginning of language or identifying these wants. When they're asking for water or bottles or a toy or some of those lines, and using very basic simplistic words to be able to identify it, or when you're asking them certain things and they're able to find those things or point to them or touch them. That happens pretty much around age 2, okay? And then 3, you'll start to really kind of understand it. 4, they'll start to refine and master it. Again, this happens at different times, okay? Understanding these symbols. So whether that be the alphabet, whether that be numbers or objects, items around the home. Okay, this is a cool video kind of letting you see, some scale issues and how that all works. Check it out on your own. So when we're looking at these symbols, right, one of the things that's really important and they differ a little bit, Piaget and Vygotsky, on this idea of pretending in play, right? What role does that play in the development of our brains and our understanding? So some things to remember: play detaches from real life conditions associated with it. So everything's possible. It's limitless. So children are able to essentially play out all these scenarios to challenge what they know and push the boundaries of how things are related. Play also becomes less self-centered because early on, remember we talked about the egocentrism. They're going to worry about themselves. The world revolves around them. Usually, in layman's terms, can be looked at as selfish, but they don't understand that. But now they're projecting a live scenario onto a doll or an action figure. Okay, so they're thinking in a lens through somebody else's experiences. Okay. And then play also includes lots of different schemes that we use in the real world. They're going to play house, play superheroes, play sports, music stuff. They're going to put on a fake concert, a play, etc., etc., etc. So some observational research that has been done, right? Teachers usually view children that have more dramatic pretend play as more socially competent, more socially intelligent than other students. And the ability to make believe and draw and to understand these different forms of representation help students grow and achieve more faster by being able to handle and understand everyday life and learning. Okay. So the cool thing that I wrote down here at the bottom: play episodes are among the most complex social interactions that play schoolers or preschoolers have. So the importance of play and being able to pretend and use their imagination is vital. So the emergence of language. Okay. So because 2- and 3-year-olds, can use words and imagine a little bit. So now we want to look at comparing objects that are no longer present. So Piaget's theory, language illustrates that children's existing schemes, but plays no or meaningful role in shaping thought or helping construct new knowledge. So for Piaget, language is just a tool to explain their scenario, but it doesn't construct anything new. Where on the flip side, for Vygotsky, language serves as the primary vehicle through which adults pass culturally valued modes of thinking. So for Vygotsky, language is the key. That's how they make those connections to learn stuff, right? I use language to identify objects to my children for them to understand what they are and their use. Piaget focuses mostly on egocentric speech, meaning asking for things that they want, right? Talking about their needs. Okay. Vygotsky talks about private speech that helps children play, strategize, and regulate behavior. So this is where when kids are playing on their own and no one else is around, they will talk through their scenarios. They will explain what is going on to themselves, to their dolls, to their action figures. They will analyze themselves as they play. Piagetian theory, speech becomes less egocentric and more social due to children's increased ability to take the perspectives of other people. So as they get older and they're able to build on the sympathy, empathy type aspects of their cognition, then speech becomes less egocentric and they're able to apply that and work with others. For Vygotsky, children are more likely to talk to themselves as they attempt to solve problems or achieve goals. So he actually believes that their self-talk is going to continue as they analyze the scenarios with themselves as they develop. I think cognitive development promotes language development for Piaget, and private speech never disappears. Instead goes underground, meaning in your head, which we still do. Think about how many scenarios that you've had where you're kind of talking yourself through it and trying to figure it out for Vygotsky. Okay. So Thinking about the inability to take other perspectives. Take this picture, for instance. You have the young girl on the far side of the table and the young boy on the near side of the table. Often, egocentric thought takes a couple forms: inability to see things from a different perspective, inability to understand thoughts, feelings, and opinions of other people. So if we're taking the perspective example here, this young girl with these mountains and this landscape in front can't see the cows. So would have a very hard time understanding or being able to come to terms with the fact that, you know, the young boy here can see the cows, because there are no cows. Those cows don't exist in her world. Okay, that's kind of what's going on, right? Same thing here, right? The ideas of hide and seek are fantastic with young children, okay? Because in this young man's world, you can't see him. Why? He can't see you. If you can notice, his eyes are covered up by that tree. So because he can't see you, you can't see him. So I had many situations where I've played hide and seek with my children, and they're laying with their head behind the couch, and their whole body's laying out in the middle of the living room. Or, you know, they put a blanket over their head, you know, all that kind of stuff. But that's how it works. Here you are. Here we go again. Okay. So theory of mind, understanding how different minds work. So here we have a picture of this young boy with his we'll call them his parents. He sees that the dad is putting the ball in the drawer, okay, for everyone to see. Mom leaves, ball still in the drawer. Everybody is aware of this. Well, after mom goes out, dad takes the ball out and puts it under the bed. Okay. When mom comes back, where does the kid think she should believe the ball is? He knows that it's under the bed, but she doesn't. And the young child will struggle up until, you know, 4 or 5-ish years of age to be able to understand that mom doesn't know that it's under the bed because she wasn't in here to watch it get put under there. So the last place she saw it was in the drawer. Okay. So 3-year-olds often confuse what they recently learned, what they once thought, and what somebody else might think. Okay. Theory of mind. Here we are again. You can check out that little video. So also using logic. This happens again as we get a little bit older, 4, 5, 6, somewhere in that range. Okay, but the ability to recognize if something stays the same or changes, even if their appearance changes. So these are some of the labs that we usually would do with my kids when they come in, but obviously they're not this year. If I reuse this for later years, you know, maybe you'll still get to do this. But obviously, you see in the top left, the young girl's looking at 2 glasses filled basically exactly the same. If you change the shape of the glass, and you see now the glass on the right is taller, then you're looking to see, does the child know that it's still the same amount of water because you watched them pour that in there, or now do they think that the taller glass is more because it's taller? Okay, same thing as the bottom. You see the coins and you see the Play-Doh. It's the same amount of Play-Doh, same amount of coins, one spread out, one shorter. Often the young learners that haven't progressed will think the longer strands are bigger than the shorter ones. Okay. Failure to conserve. Okay, this is what's going on. Centration, the tendency to focus on one aspect of another and exclude the others. Focus on appearance. Pre-operational children focus on appearance to the exclusion of other attributes. Static reasoning. Pre-operational children believe the world is unchanging, always in the state that they're currently encountering it. And irreversibility. Pre-operational thinkers fail to recognize that reversing a process sometimes restores what existed before. Okay. So focusing on appearance, for instance, you take these 2 images and we can definitely tell they're different, right? That's an angry little like bobcat looking, you know, stuffed animal, like stuffed real animal. On the left is Maynard the cat. So there is research done on pre-operational children to identify if they could tell the difference between Maynard the cat and this other stuffed, cat, I guess you will. Not a very nice looking cat. And honestly, most of the pre-operational children were not able to. That a black cat was a black cat was a black cat, because the appearance, both black in fur, both about the same size. Lo and behold, it ended up having to be the same thing. The older they got, and they got into more operational thinking, they could tell the difference. Same thing with static reasoning. Okay. The old adage of Santa Claus, and I apologize if I ruined this for anybody, but the pre-operational thinking allows children still the imagination to believe and understand and come to grips with how Santa Claus could go about doing that, right? So the cognitive stage they're in allows for this myth to work, to be propagated. Okay. Some Kohlberg stuff, and I know you'll be getting into some of this with the different theories. We'll hit some more of this later. But he gets into moral development as they think about heavier, bigger ideas and how to do it. So at the beginning, you're going to look at just punishment and obedience, just obeying the rules, right? Don't touch that, don't break that, don't go there, okay, all that kind of stuff. Then we get into this naive hedonism, right, where they're trying to look for where their boundaries are. What do I have to do to get rewards, cookies, toys? What do I get in trouble for, etc.? Good boy, good girl, morality. What am I trying to do to get the approval of parents or others? Conforms, and then conforms to maintain communities, and then individual principles of consciousness, right? And that's when you get more into your teenage years. And here you are again, same concepts, different graphic. Okay, you've got your different ideas of the stages. So when we get over here to the top left in the pink, you got your infancy, trust versus mistrust, early childhood, preschool initiative versus guilt, school age industry inferiority, and so on. So these would be these developmental stages that humans go through their entire life to figure out, how fulfilled they would be. And we'll get into all this kind of stuff a little bit more deeply with some worksheets and some videos and hopefully a little bit of class time. All right.